I ordered a bunch of Thai food, and it didn't come out to be very expensive, so I thought I'll just put it all in a bowl. And then I've had about a third of it, and then I had the wherewithal to say, you know what would be a great idea now? To put some saran wrap on top of this bowl and have another great meal later on in the week.
What the fuck's going on down there?
We're going to talk about those new Transformers reveals. We're going to talk about the one that, shook the internet the most because there's G1 in it. They revealed a bunch of Siege stuff, 4 Siege toys. Yeah. The first one being the big one. We now have a full look at the Titan figure for Siege that we've known about since last year. It's Omega Supreme. He is a very G1 looking Omega Supreme, as probably everyone expected. Because this guy is from that list of Titans that were on a vote years ago where they all seem to be happening. And it's in my opinion, they're all happening and they're all going to look like they were designed in a bubble and then had whatever this year's gimmick is kind of just plugged onto them. Trypticon, they made his friend a headmaster. Omega Supreme comes with a Micromaster and has blast effect parts, therefore he's part of Siege. And his alt mode is his whole little tank with a shuttle and a base thing. What I'm liking is it doesn't look like you have to shred his legs into pieces. He's just doing a lotus position from the waist down, and I like that. I don't like Omega Supreme disassembling beyond 3 or 4 pieces. And someone else pointed out something I didn't really catch on to. I don't actually know how this was deduced, but folks are smart. Apparently his rocket ship, his arms don't detach individually. The rocket ship does a Gaugygar thing where its central mass is through Omega Supreme's shoulders. So the whole rocket flies in sideways through his torso and then the arms fold down on either side is what I saw.
Oh yeah. Because if you look at that, the tower of the base mode part, It doesn't look like it threads through. It looks like maybe it pushes on.
Yeah.
Because you could see that big gap in the back.
Oh, that's how... Okay, yeah. I was immediately assuming that gap was from a wing pack for the wings, but that makes a lot more sense. Looks like, then the wings just tab on the back. Either way, I'm into it. I like a more contained Omega Supreme. The figure himself is very he's G1 with knees and ankles like a lot of current stuff is, and I'm remembering how kind of Siege Wave 1, when we looked at it, all those Autobots, I was a little bit they look okay. And then when I got them in hand, I was oh, these actually feel great. And I'm preemptively going to say that's probably the case with all this, because a lot of these reveals to me are they look okay, in the same kind of vein. But Seth, how are you feeling about this first glance of Omega Supreme?
I think it looks really cool. I really like how because I don't know how it would be possible to do Omega Supreme and not have them come apart to some extent. But it looks like they did a great job minimizing how apart he has to get.
Yeah.
So having the track for the tank elevated the way it is, with little struts to hold it up, that looks kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I
like it. I just before we started recording, while I was shoveling food in my mouth, I was watching this week's Fwoosh video on the YouTubes, and he was talking about it and mentioned how it's going to be 2 feet tall. To which I said out loud, "That is too tall. I got nowhere for these giant Transformers. It's going to have to be like all the other giant Transformers recently, where I just really appreciate them. It is going to be too big, but." I do think it looks pretty rad.
Yeah.
If I had a toy display room, I'd be way more into it.
Well,
or way more likely to get it.
I'm just thinking about this. He's 2 feet tall in robot mode. That means he's maybe a foot tall in base mode.
Yeah, but he's going to have a way bigger footprint in base mode.
True.
It's going to take up more space.
I think you can just put him on the floor.
Horizontally.
Just put him on the floor.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, okay. I'll go downstairs when we're done. And I'll say, good news, fiance. This thing is going to be on the floor.
Don't worry. You can just say I'm the one who thought of it. It'll go over great.
Next to all the other things on the floor. And then she'll say, no, and then the conversation's over.
The thing I'm kind of excited about with this is that being that these are, Titans are generally, that big in robot mode, and Metroplex and Fort Max both suffer enormously from the waist down, as far as you can't actually put them in poses because they're so tall and don't have, a solid stance from the waist down, that they'll just sort of fall over. Trypticon solved that, and I'm thus a lot more excited for Omega Supreme than I otherwise would be, because now I'm going in assuming he's going to have like a nice solid ratcheted ankle tilt so that he can assume poses that are not just standing stock still.
Yeah, he does seem to have really big block feet.
Yeah.
So he should have a lot of foot to be balanced on.
I mean, that's the disappointing thing about Metroplex and Fort Max is they have a lot of foot, but then like, because they don't have any ankles, it's just like one edge of the giant foot is on the ground when you do like action poses, and then they just sort of keel in on themselves. So thankfully, they like Trypticon proves they have like figured stuff out since then. So I'm kind of excited for it. I'm hoping that they do the recolor that they should do, and that they will actually be criminals if they don't. Like I'm talking straight up war criminals. Because I deserve an Omega Supreme in good Omega Supreme colors. In fact, I deserve two, because I've seen the Digibashes done. Someone Digibashed this into Omega Supreme with all the good pink, and it was very good. And then someone took the Impactor we're going to talk about and Digibashed that into a very good-looking Omega Supreme as well. So I want both. And in fact, I'm owed both. So if Hasbro isn't some kind of lousy corporation with no soul, they'll give me what I'm owed, and obviously there's no argument about that. Like, it's just scientific fact.
Well, lucky for you, in the United States of America, where Hasbro is based, corporations are legally people. So people have souls. So
therefore,
Hasbro has a soul.
Therefore, Hasbro has a soul.
It's provable in court.
Excellent. I can't wait for my dual Omega Supremes. Do you want to talk about Impactor? Because I just realized he's the next solicitation, and we just brought him up. He's right there.
No, I refuse. I am boycotting Impactor.
Well,
because he said things about corn syrup I didn't appreciate.
That wasn't Impactor. That was Countdown, Omega Supreme's Micromaster. And guess who? Guess who we didn't talk about?
Oh,
right. Anyway,
they're so similar. I got them confused.
That's all right. I did too. I like this Impactor. I think he looks fine for a deluxe. I saw a lot of people kind of negging on this toy, and like, a lot of it is the fact that his legs are pretty darn hollow, and it's like, yes, they are, but like, that's not new. He's doing a bunch of Impactor stuff. He's got 5 mil peg on the back of his hand if you fold his hand away, so you can put things onto his wrist. I think his tank mode looks fine. I think the robot mode looks fine aside from the hollow legs, and I mean, yes, that's a problem, so I'm not going to say you're wrong if you don't like it, but he's got beautiful lips too, as has been pointed out. He's got the right cannon on his shoulder. Like, I don't think he's better than, say, like Mastermind Creations Impactor, but Mastermind Creations Impactor is 3 to 4 times the price, so it should be better. Like, I think this looks fine. I'm not gonna like die on a hill for this toy. I just was really astounded, like, how many people I saw going like, this is sort of a letdown, because I'm like, it's not like earth shattering, but I think it looks like a pretty good tank transformer myself.
I want to say a lot of, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Because you can't help yourself.
That's
right. Just gotta be right. My impression on Impactor is he was kind of an obscure, not really a big deal character until his depiction in the comics, and then people got super hyped for comic book Impactor. I did not read those comics. Impactor's just sort of this obscure thing for me. So it's hard for me to get hyped for him. There is something alluring with his crazy ass golden, yellow, and purple color scheme.
Yeah.
But I don't have the hype for Impactor.
All right. Well, I'm going to do the actually that someone else will do. Because you're actually pretty much right. but there's still something someone can well actually you on. So let me just adjust my glasses. So you're pretty much correct. His popularity does come from the comic books. He was fairly obscure before, but did you know his obscurity is that he was a comic book original character from the Marvel UK run, who never had a toy in the 80s. He was in fact only a comic book character, who then became re-famous for being another comic book character, homage of the original comic book character. He's entirely born from comics.
I didn't read that comic either. I just assumed it was like one of those late model kind of end of the line G1, like weird, was only available in Europe.
So
figures.
He was technically only available in Europe, just only in comic books in Europe. But yeah, that's the long story of Impactor. He's also famous, basically until they did him in IDW, he was famous for being the original leader of the Wreckers, who I think died several times, and that was kind of his entire character trait, is he would heroically die and someone else would become the leader. IDW was notable for having him be the survivor of the story where everyone thought he was going to die, like in the old comic books. And he got to be around for a while.
Now, it may be just the picture, but he looks really narrow. His tank mode looks very narrow with a giant turret on top.
You're not incorrect, but my general response is yes, and I don't know how that's a problem.
Well, it just looks odd.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that is accurate to his comic book depictions. If it is, then no problem, carry on. But I could see where somebody might be like, I don't know, this is a weird shape.
He often turns into kind of just a weird Cybertronian tank thing. And oddly enough, being this narrow actually makes him a great candidate for being redecoed as Omega Supreme, because Omega Supreme had a tank mode that was similarly narrow and weird looking, because it was just a guy bent over.
I'm not making criticisms, just observations. All right, so settle down.
Listen, you don't know.
Lower your eyebrows. You're getting all worked up.
My eyebrows have never been lower. I can't even see the screen.
You're getting all worked up.
They're over my eyes. It itches a lot because I'm frowning.
Settle down.
So hard.
Down.
My eyebrows
You're getting all worked up.
Are on my nose. This hurts.
You're getting all worked up.
I can't get them off. I've pulled a muscle in my forehead.
Hey, listeners, remember hella years ago when this podcast was still kind of fresh and new? Gog Dog, I kept accusing him of getting all worked up one time, to the point where he did start getting worked up and then said, I'm getting worked up from you telling me to stop getting so worked up.
And then you said,
that was
stop
fun.
Getting so worked up.
Good times. Good times.
I feel like you coded that by saying stop getting so worked up, but I can't remember anymore. So that's Impactor. One of the two fan-voted toys, by the way, who was going to be in a 2-pack with Mirage. That clearly is not the case, as they are now being solicited as just two different toys. But there's also a Deluxe Mirage, who does some interesting things, like his arms now form the rear spoiler fin of his race car mode, his alien race car mode that is an alien F1 race car.
Yeah.
F1 enthusiast Slayer Shoop on Twitter pointed out, because he knows a lot about those cars, that given the way that Mirage is assembled as an F1 car, if he picked up enough speed, he would in fact, his front two wheels would lift off of the ground. His current aerodynamics apparently mean that he would just take flight if he picked up any speed.
Yeah, well, that front wing looks to be very much at the wrong angle.
Yeah.
And also with his arms becoming the spoiler, there's just like this giant chunk block in the back, not allowing air to pass through.
Well, yeah.
So that spoiler, I don't think, is really doing anything except for maybe slowing you down.
Human earthen air, yes, but Cybertronian alien air, it's probably fine. I mean, after all, are any of us Cybertronians? I don't think so. Also, all that said, he has a fake chest, which I didn't notice until someone pointed out, hey, this dude has a fake chest, yet his chest is still really, really wide. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, that's weird. Because I have a criticism on this toy. His chest is way the hell too wide. He doesn't even look really muscular, he just looks stretched to me.
Yo, stop fat shaming.
No.
Mirage.
No, this is not.
It's not cool.
This is not that. This is not some kind of physical girth. This is just he's been pulled. His shoulders were pulled in opposite directions, and his torso stretched. I don't think it looks.
You seem to be getting worked up about this.
Very. I'm incredibly worked up about this. Not you, but about this. You got here after it happened. I think this Mirage looks like he's probably going to be fine when he's a physical toy, because the same thing happened with that Prowl, who had the weird-looking robot mode, which is still weird-looking in the in-hand photos that came out a few weeks after that, but overall it looked a bit more clean, and all the Siege toys I found look better in person than in the CG stock photos thing that they do. So I'm still, mildly optimistic. I don't really have anything to say in defense of the figure. I think it looks like it's probably just a fine Transformer. Unfortunately, the character of Mirage that it's representing looks weirder on this silhouette than like probably any other character would, because Mirage is often depicted in a somewhat slim shouldered form. This guy does have slim legs, but then his shoulders just get really, really wide. It's cool looking guns though. And I like how they cheated the Cetane's thing onto him using a mixture of Cybertronian and just the letter S. Which is weird that they had to cheat Cetanes onto him, because Cetanes isn't even a real word. That was cheating around the word Gitans or Gitanus. Anyway, trivia. Seth,
that's not an S.
Isn't it? That's an S.
No, where he comes from, that's a symbol of hope.
Ah, yes, correct. Hey, Seth, what do you think about Mirage?
I think of these 4 pre-Toy Fair reveals, Mirage is, without a doubt, undoubtedly my pick for the least interesting.
That was all in boldface font. You gotta calm down. That was... I had to recoil from my microphone, which is weird because I'm listening to you on headphones.
I'm a Zen master.
All right.
I am always calm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, as not connected to Impactor that I am, he at least looks exciting with his crazy purple and golden yellow color scheme. I don't know. It's just, he doesn't look... Like you said, his silhouette seems off. The car mode isn't alien enough to be like a cool alien race car, but not F1 enough to be a cool F1 car. His feet look really weird. I don't like his feet at all. And I don't like his happy little face.
Wow.
Mirage, my memories of his cartoon G1 characterization was Mirage kind of didn't want to be there. He was not into this whole war thing. He wasn't having a good time. He didn't want to be fighting. This guy looks too happy. In my head, Mirage is a pretty serious, solemn dude. He ain't smiling. He just wants to turn invisible.
All I remember about Mirage in the G1 cartoon for characterization is he had a really funny sounding voice like this, and then he was like, "Hey, Trailbreaker, is that a hologram?" And that's all I remember about Mirage.
I want to say, and maybe my memories are incorrect, but I think I remember him complaining that like he didn't want to be fighting in no wars.
Well, I think that they had him say that
this was all bad.
They had him say that as his one character line in the pilot that everyone got because it was on the tech spec, and then he never mentioned it again.
Well, he also, I don't think, got much play on the show.
No, it
was like that and asking about holograms.
And he had his orange rectangle that would form around him, and then
and then he'd disappear and be like, no one can see me.
So I kind of...
in my happy little safe space.
I kind of schadenfreude like his feet because they just... like, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're still wrong in that kind of like, that tall lanky Mario from
terrible.
Mario Maker. It's like lanky Mario weird. Like, it's just unpleasant somehow. Because, like, the back is missing or something. I don't know. I kind of like him because they're real screwed up. But yeah.
Yeah. I just... like, I don't hate it. Like the figure as a whole, like I don't hate it. It's just, it's so middling and kind of that is just forgettable.
Did you guys hear that?
For me, it's forgettable.
Did you hear Seth hates Mirage? I heard he.
It's just like.
I heard he hates Mirage.
It's like if I was to steal Anthony Fantano's scoring system, I would say it's a soft 6.
Man, that's. Ugh.
Also, his opinions are really wrong about Weezer's Teal album. Anthony Scamtano doesn't know anything about music.
Whoa, calm down. All right, I had to steady the table because it started to shake when you were saying that. I'm trying to. I was going to lead into a thing. I remembered another podcast bit, and I was going to do this. And I have no clear segue, but we used to say apologist a lot, and I forgot really the context. But I wanted to briefly.
Did we?
I don't remember anymore. But I wanted to briefly be a Mirage apologist and say that I think the one thing that could fix his weird looking silhouette is if you twisted him slightly at the waist. I think that because of the shape of that torso, that would instantly make his torso look like 3 times slimmer if you twisted the torso very slightly at the waist joint. And I can't...
And try to use, like, perspective to make him seem thinner?
I think it would happen almost instantaneously with this figure, so I want to see if that's proven correct when it comes out.
Use perspective tricks?
Yep. That's what...
Like, put him in one of those rooms where it looks like the floor is level, but like if you stand on one side you look huge, and then if somebody stands on the other side they look tiny, because it's like a weird perspective trick.
Yeah,
like put him in a box like that, and then he'll look like a better toy.
Man, I heard someone ask Seth what he thought about Mirage, and Seth just said, put him in a box. All like Vincent D'Onofrio, just total kingpins.
Tricky box.
Put him in a box for good. We have one more reveal to talk about. So this is a brand new price point, Commander price point, 80 US
snap.
Dollars.
Oh, ouch.
130 Canadian dollars, if I recall correctly. Jetfire.
That's not real money.
Jetfire is an 11-inch tall robot.
Yeah, that's what she said.
This is literally too. Yeah, he's got like a 3-inch long like phallus sticking off the bottom of his cockpit nose cone thing. And he's totally animation model Skyfire. So that's I think the first time in a long time something's been that slavish to that particular animation model on an official toy. He comes with armor up parts to make him into what I would refer to as a really depressing knockoff of a Macross toy, as opposed to the glorious Combiner Wars Fast Packs, like come get us Harmony Gold thing. Like this armor is like, we gave him the Roy Fokker face, and we didn't have enough to put Fast Packs on him, so missiles. I think the armor gimmick on this one is kind of weak, but
it's just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just move on. Focus on the rest of it.
That little armor pod, right, looks like it's going to be a fun thing to put onto other figures. He turns into the 80s cartoon model of that flying box that he turned into in the 80s cartoon. And the big thing that we don't know how it works yet, as of this recording, is apparently he has a special feature where deluxe figures can attach to his jet mode so fans can imagine them being deployed into battle from above.
Whoa.
So basically, it's an 11-inch tall Jetfire. He's going to be a big-ass Jetfire. He's going to be, there's the immediate reaction. Let me just use my Nostradamus powers. A bunch of people are going to be like, this is what the leader price point should be from the start. That aside, like, he looks like he's pretty cool. Did you just
turn into one of the McKenzie brothers?
Briefly.
I'm pretty sure you were Bob and or Doug McKenzie. Right then.
I was Bug McKenzie.
Just had to put a hoser in there and it would have been complete.
I was Dob McKenzie. So I think this Jetfire looks fine. I think I like how much that the robot mode does not look like it has giant jet parts hanging off of it necessarily, similar for the jet. Granted, that's built on the back of Skyfire having an alt mode that is a giant box with a box on top and a cockpit and some wings. But for what they're going for, it looks like to me like they did a pretty good job. I am going to assume that he's not going to feel very hollow or anything, because the leader toys in Siege, for how people like to make fun of them not being gigantic, they have the same mass as taller toys from the past because they're built denser and better. I am assuming that this Commander price point is so they can do an 11-inch tall robot that is built denser and better. So with that assumption, I think it looks pretty cool. Seth, how do you feel about this guy?
This is the one I am most hyped for, with how I got to be hyped before I even consider buying something mode I've been in recently. I'm gonna have to start saving my pennies because this looks so cool. I'm so into it. That Combiner Wars Jetfire we got a couple years ago that you invoked, like that was cool in how it sort of like tried to thread the line and get Macrossy without activating the Harmony Gold lawyers, or at least calling their bluff.
Yeah, that's what it was doing.
Also, but also having some of the blockiness of Skyfire. I think it's cool that they just went all out Skyfire. And once that's never happened before, like with Mirage and a lot of these other ones, I could kind of be like, yeah, but I already got a pretty good version of that, so it's easy to just not burn through what little money I have right now. But this is like, there isn't a comparable like mainline toy. Like there, I remember a third party thing.
It is Fans Toys' best toy that they unfortunately stopped making toys that good is their Skyfire.
Yeah. So, and this is going to be significantly less expensive than that was.
Yes.
So this is, even though it's an old design, it is a new toy. It is all new, Daddy-O.
All new, all different.
Yeah. So
Uncanny Jetfire.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the picture of Robot Remote right now. I'm like, this is badass. Which like the kid me, the 1984 version of me watching the cartoon, getting annoyed that that Skyfire doesn't look like the toy. Why'd they change his name? Because I didn't know about Macross or any licensing deals or anything. I just thought, like, why did they screw it up so bad? Also would have been annoyed at this.
Well, that doesn't even look like Robotech at all. What a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. That was a long ass time ago, and that kid grew up.
He'd have had my back when I was slagging on that armor part photo with all the add-on bits.
Yeah, I just the armored up version, it's something I'm not even gonna do. Like, forget it. It's dumb. Who cares?
I'm only giving it guff because I think the armor up gimmick, when they focused on it for one figure, it's turned out pretty well so far. So when I look at this one, I'm kind of like, y'all, this really feels like y'all wanted to do Skyfire and then just sort of went like, I don't know, give him a chest plate.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool because, like, with all the other Autobots and the Decepticons, like, they have these Cybertronian vehicle modes that are still, for the most part, very close to what their Earth modes ended up being. Like, even more so than what we saw in the cartoon. I mean, we still got, like, Tetrajets to come. But, like, Mirage is very obviously just, like, a not licensed F1 car. And, like, Sideswipe is very much just a close to being a Lamborghini.
A smooth
but
Lamborghini.
In the cartoon, this is what Skyfire looked like when he left Cybertron and crashed on the Earth to get frozen. And then he never took an Earth mode. He just stayed being this big box jet. So they didn't have to change it. Like, they didn't have to make something close. They could just make it.
Yeah.
So I'm into it. I like it. I want to get it.
All right. Seth does not hate Jetfire. I just heard on the grapevine.
No. It is not the Evangelion of Transformers.
Man. Our comments will be great. Well, these reveals are exciting to me because I am assuming that they're showing us these to prep us for seeing physical painted prototypes at Toy Fair, which is
that are going to be mistransformed.
Yep.
And fallen over in the display case.
Well, by being fallen over and mistransformed, we'll be able to better see how they work. Like, that's the hidden. They're doing it for us, the fans. That's why it happens, so we can see the underside of Omega Supreme.
Wouldn't that be amazing if, like, the truth came out and all these years there's been a Hasbro employee intentionally mistransforming figures for display cases to tip off how engineering works.
That'd be amazing.
And we just thought there was just some dum-dum who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, because then whenever the book gets written, the opening chapter is, did you all seriously think that we didn't notice the figures falling over? Do you think that little of us, you know what? I'm happy we canceled Masterpiece, whatever we're complaining about in 2037. Because
it's not even a we, it's just one person.
Yeah.
And like this was their sticking it to the man like thing.
Yeah. Brian Goldner said,
like
don't let them know how it works.
Yeah. And the dedication in the book it just says dedicated to everyone who thought I was too dumb to do my job right.
And the book explodes in your face after you read that. So that's the siege
because
reveals.
By then in the future, books will have face recognition technology and they'll know who thought the person was dumb and who got it. We're going to be safe because we just figured it out.
That's right.
And so will the listeners because they heard us figure it out.
Yeah, we just saved all of your actual lives.
Yeah. Everyone else is going to get blowed up.
Yeah. You're welcome. Seth, those are the siege reveals, but we've got a few more things to talk about that got shown off. They revealed 2 Studio Series figures. Number 1, they finally revealed that Optimus Prime that the entirety of the Weibo blogging community slowly revealed to us over the course of a day and a half. But now we actually see it in official pictures in its CG glory, even though we've already seen the physical toy. And in fact, I just saw a sighting that apparently this toy has been sighted and found in Texas today.
Oh, wow.
But it's
Texas.
Yeah. Bang Bang partner. But this is the Voyager Optimus Prime as he appeared in the Bumblebee movie. With all of the G1 on him. And then the other reveal is another Bumblebee movie toy. It's one I've been really hoping for. It is Deluxe Dropkick, not as a helicopter, but as a car, who does look a lot more like Dropkick looked in the film. The helicopter Dropkick looks very much like, I'm guessing, what he might have looked like during the modeling phase of the film before they finalize anything. This looks a lot more like my boy. This looks a lot more like Violent's husband. So I'm hyped for this, and this makes me excited and anticipating that they're going to be dropping a deluxe jet shatter sooner than later as well. So I'm into both of these, and the Optimus we've seen a whole lot of already, but this car drop kick, someone pointed something out that got me really excited on a transformation level. All 4 of his wheels end up on his arms. The front wheels end up in his shoulders, and the rear wheels end up on his forearms. Due to how the transformation works, I think that's kind of cool. You know, like a little convention breaker thing. The legs don't contain the rear wheels on this guy. So I'm excited about these. Dropkick also comes with his gun, what he uses to make things pop, which is nice. Seth, how are you feeling about these Studio Series reveals?
Oh, they're okay. Yeah, I'm still not into movie stuff. I like how just a big square most of Optimus Prime collapses down into.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like that he was a cab over a semi tractor in the Bumblebee movie, because that was the big thing we were told in 2007 was you just couldn't do it.
Yep.
You couldn't have him be a cab over.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
You couldn't do it. It would look too stupid. Couldn't never do it. It couldn't never ever do it.
And now here we are.
It looked fine. In fact, it looked better. It didn't have flames on it.
Also, no one
cared. It didn't have Michael Bay stinks squirted all over it.
It's more so no one really cares what the shape of the truck is when you know it turns into a robot. Like, it doesn't matter if the truck looks good or not. It turns into a robot. It's therefore a good truck.
No, you can't.
Like, no one...
You can't do it. You can never do it.
Whenever someone got kind of up in arms going, like, they picked the wrong luxury GM's pseudo sports car model for this character, I'm like, it's still a fancy pants car turning into a robot. Like, it's still cool. Also, I've been told, without spoilers, that apparently I will really like how this Optimus transforms, because 2 people were like, did you see how it works? And I was like... I currently assume all Studio Series toys are going to impress me with their transformations, because most of them have. So I haven't looked. I want to buy it blind. And then I was told it does okay, but also it does things you'll like. And so I'm kind of excited now. Especially if this thing's been sighted in an actual store in North America. I'm fingers crossed I might find this in the next month or 2 up here. Seth, we have one more reveal to talk about from pre-Toy Fair relating to Transformers. As you can see in the topic list, Super 7 reveals the things that they showed before. I actually don't know how this is a new reveal. I'm guessing these are in different colors. But it's that thing where they have the vinyl-looking figure of Optimus and Megatron, except what there are heavily painted inner gut pieces you can see through the figure. On Megatron, at least. On Optimus, it looks like it's just you can see it through the chest. Apparently, they have 7 points of articulation, because one of the more recent replies confirms that from some video. I think we've talked about these once before. I think they look pretty cool for what they are. I feel like a little bad for Super 7 that the Transformers community is going to digest these as non-transforming action figures the way they tend to, because these are a hell of art vinyls. They are going to probably be savaged. I'm just going to scroll down. Looks like they're being savaged. Oh no, someone said weird concept but neat. That's good. What the... Okay, Seth, I have to tell you this.
Tell it to me, man.
One of the replies here... Okay, someone replied to this news item saying, I was at D-Con and told Super 7 that their clear Optimus looked like crap. People probably want more color than transparent pieces.
What a jerk.
He would put up saying, finally. I think because that Optimus is just in cartoon colors. So the reply to that was, good job. They probably never intended on mass releasing cartoon colored versions of this figure before you showed up. My hero. And it goes on from there. Anyway, I think these look... I don't want these, but I think they look fine for what they are. Like Super 7...
I've met Super 7 people at the Santa Rosa Toy Con because they're just from down the road away.
Did you tell them?
They seem like nice guys.
Did you then tell them
they seem nice?
Their Optimus looks like crap? Did you tell them that to their face? Like apparently this guy did?
No.
Okay. Like
I said I'd really be stoked if you guys did a trap jaw in this style. And they said, we can't talk about it. And I said, I hope that means that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't want to spoil anything, so I let it go. They seem like nice guys. And I bought a really cool Soundwave shirt from them last year.
I think that it's not like this needs to be said, but like, don't walk up, even if you don't like it, right? What is the purpose of walking up to someone and going like, hey, this thing you made, I think it sucks. And like, do you just linger? Do you hold eye contact after that? Like, what do you do? Like, what are they supposed to say? Okay, we'll go and stop making it. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a rude thing to do to somebody. Don't do that. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to tell you right now, don't just walk up to some toy maker and say, hey, your thing sucks. Like, say something constructive. All right? You're better than that. You listen to this podcast. You know better. I'm going to project that on the podcast listeners. Seth, any other thoughts on Super 7's Megatron and Optimus?
It's kind of a fun idea, like the seeing the inside stuff. I just think there could have been a cooler implementation of the idea.
I wish it wasn't just the torso on that Megatron. Because when I look at that Megatron, I mostly am feeling like, man, I wish that was the whole figure. And then I kind of wish...
With like purple grid lines on the outer clear shell.
Yeah. Okay, specific.
And really lean into that scene.
What I really wish is it was, yeah, like that scene on the whole figure on just the front side, and then you could take off the clear parts and put on the cartoon color bits if you don't want to see all that stuff. Like, you could switch the way it looks. So we're going to have more Toy Fair stuff to talk about. Seth, there's one other relevant Toy Fair thing to talk about because it usually comes around this time of year. You know, for all the millionaires who listen to this, this is old hat for you. We're going to talk briefly about the Hasbro Full Year Financial Call.
Okay.
Where Brian Goldner, okay, this is very short actually. Brian Goldner said, in general information, Hasbro Toy Shop will be merged with Hasbro Pulse. That's something that a bunch of us were kind of assuming was going to happen. Acknowledged the Transformers fandom as one of the best for Hasbro.
Yeah, it is.
We rule.
You know it.
Papa
you
Hasbro.
Ain't those Joe fans.
Papa Hasbro loves us more than you G.I. Joe fans. All right.
Yeah.
Brian Goldner said so.
Because you don't love them enough.
That's
G.I. Joe fans.
That's what Brian Goldner said. Yes. Also, Transformers toy sales were up for the fourth quarter of 2018, and that's like interesting trivia. But come on, that is like a really weird thing to celebrate as fans. It's like, our toy sales were up for fourth quarter. Hooray! I actually pumped my fist. You couldn't see it. There's some Bumblebee movie news. Mr. Goldner stated that Transformers: Bumblebee made the Transformers franchise with a capital F re-engage with families. Hasbro is very happy with the critical success of Bumblebee. Transformers Bumblebee is very profitable for Hasbro as well. Home release will be available on 2019 first quarter. I feel like we actually have a date for the home release.
Yeah, first quarter.
Yeah, you're right. That's what Hasbro said. What Hasbro said goes. And then for future Transformers live-action movies, brand new Transformers films, in plural, are now in development. Hasbro's working closely with Jim Giannopoulos and his team at Paramount for the new movies. Now, I don't know anything about the producer teams, but when I saw that name and not another name, I was like, what happened to Lorenzo de Bonaventura? I thought he was the guy who was getting his name all over everything. Maybe someone talked a little too much.
Well, Jim here is the chairman and chief executive officer of Paramount Pictures. When I saw this story, I Googled to see who? Who's this guy? So he is a big shot over there at Paramount. He's not some little rinky-dink producer. He's a Greek-American businessman, it says in his little bio.
Well, you did more due diligence than I did, that's for sure, about all these people who don't care about us, the human beings, who purchased the product.
Guess how old he is.
How old is he?
68.
Did you look that up too?
Well, it's part of his little bio here.
Oh, okay.
Yo, guess where he got an education?
Harvard.
Nope, Boston University. You blew it.
I only know Harvard as far as your universities go. I can't remember the name of any of the other ones. I just assume all Americans go to Harvard.
Well, every major city has a university that is also named
Harvard?
Whatever university. Yes. Harvard is a franchise. It's very similar to Subway sandwiches.
I went to Boston Harvard. Wow, I went to Florida Harvard.
Oh, man, Florida Harvard's just a party school.
Florida Harvard's garbage.
I ain't serious.
So apparently Bumblebee, on the financial soulless corporate level, Bumblebee did well enough to increase the chance that they might really want future Transformers films to have, like family engaging levels of heart. And that might be a direction they want to go in because it is proven to be profitable. As we said before, Hasbro is very happy with the critical success of Bumblebee. So
we're
good news all around.
Very happy that
our movies
vast majority of film critics didn't say this was obnoxious garbage like they have for every other movie.
Like, I am pleasantly surprised that it seems like, I mean, obviously the movie made money as well, and that's probably the real reason, but at least the weird implication here that, like, hey, we also kind of just care that people on a critical level didn't hate it. Like, that was a surprise to me. I was expecting it to just be fully like, it has definitely crossed profit margins and produced enough capital to engage in the venture one more time.
Well, I'm sure that there is some happiness amongst the bigwigs at Paramount that they don't have to just defend a Transformers movie by saying, but it made several billion dollars. Now they could say, hey, it made a lot of money. Also, we don't have to pretend like critics don't exist.
We don't have to come up with really weird ways to dance around the part where the movie is demonstrably weak in several key areas. So yeah, it was overall a good financial call on the Transformers side. I caught on MTG Reddit, I feel like I caught that apparently Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons sold well. However, tabletop gaming on the whole was doing worse or something like that. Magic the Gathering folks seem to pay a lot more attention to financials than Transformers folks do. Similar to Tokusatsu fans, oddly enough. And I wish people would take interest, but would like stop at a certain point, you know? Like at a certain point, granted, I think for Hasbro, you can actually affect some change because you live in the demographic that, you know, the many demographics that can affect their financials, but like still, I feel like you at least gotta pause and acknowledge what you're doing when you're like pumping a fist, because it's like, we made more in Q4! Our franchise is profitable! Because it's like, the net positive is, yes, you get more of the franchise you like, but like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
I have not looked up numbers. I do not know if this is wishful thinking. I don't have a reason necessarily to doubt it. But what I've heard people repeat several times over the last couple months is Dungeons and Dragons, at least, is bigger than it's ever been. As far as profitability and sales and whatnot.
I've been hearing that D&D and Magic both underwent like notable gains in the last year or so for a variety of reasons, and that's cool. None of them are the Transformers TCG, so you know there's a certain level where we gotta put a cap on how excited I get. But good for them. It's weird that their version of the news is you're doing better, but the genre's doing worse, because it's like, especially if you're fans who care about that stuff, it's like, how do you take that, right? Like, in the context of a genre that's doing worse on the whole, you're doing better. It's like, oh, that's weird. And I should, because I feel like I'm going to get yelled at. I'm not the one saying it's doing worse. I am repeating a thing that I read about a report on this financial call from Reddit / Magic the Gathering or whatever. So I don't care. I'm sharing what I heard, and I don't want tabletop to do badly, nor do I take any glee if it is, because I like tabletop right now. It's my new thing I got back into. So that's the financial call. Seth, any other thoughts on the financial call?
No.
You want to drop in? Because I'd rather stop talking about it.
What the fuck's going on down there?